In the mountains of Pakistan, there exists a place that maps refuse to show, and a tree.
Shajar-e-Malloon, the Cursed Tree. Part 1. The legend begins. Somewhere deep in the mountains of Pakistan, a place so forgotten, even God's echo takes 3 days to arrive. Chapter 1. The Road That Warned Him. The road to Kolhapur didn't appear on Google Maps. Zayan had tried 3 different apps. All 3 showed the same thing, a blank gray space where the village should have been. Like the land itself had been erased. Like someone, or something, had deliberately scrubbed it from existence. His editor had laughed when he pitched the story. Haunted tree in a mountain village? Zayan, you write investigative journalism, not bedtime stories. But Zayan had seen the file, the actual government file, stamped restricted in red ink, that his source had slipped under his door at 2 a.m. 17 disappearances in the last 4 years alone, all from the same village, all listed as cause unknown. No bodies, no evidence, no explanation. Just gone. That was enough.
He told himself it was the mountains playing tricks. He kept driving. At exactly 11:47 p.m., his headlights caught the first sign of the village, a crumbling stone arch. No words carved into it, just a symbol, old, worn smooth by decades of wind and rain. It looked like a tree with its roots growing upward instead of down, like the tree was trying to pull itself out of the earth, or like something beneath the earth was pulling it in. Zayan stopped the car. He sat there for a long moment, engine running, staring at that symbol. Something in his chest felt strange. Not fear exactly. More like that feeling you get standing at the edge of a very high cliff, your body understanding danger before your mind catches up. He took a breath. He drove through the arch. Chapter 2. The Silence of Kolhapur. The first thing he noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful silence of a sleeping village, not the quiet hum of nature at rest. This was something different, something wrong. The kind of silence that felt like it had been forced, like every bird, every insect, every living creature had made a collective decision to stop making sound in this particular place. No crickets, no wind through leaves, no dogs barking in the distance. Nothing. Kolhapur was perhaps 40 or 50 homes, mud walls and stone roofs, narrow lanes barely wide enough for one. And then he turned, and he saw it for the first time. At the far edge of the village, beyond the last house, beyond a crumbling stone wall that looked like it had been built as a boundary, a border, a warning, stood the tree. Even from this distance, in the darkness with only a half moon above, it stopped him completely. It was massive. Genuinely, incomprehensibly massive. The kind of massive that made you feel small in a way that had nothing to do with size. Its trunk was so wide, so ancient, so deeply rooted that it looked less like a tree and more like a piece of the mountain itself. Like the earth had pushed it up from somewhere deep below. Its bark was almost black, not dark brown, black, like it had been burned from the inside and never recovered. Its branches stretched outward in every direction, long, twisting, reaching like arms, like hands, like fingers extended towards something they desperately wanted to grab. Even in the stillness, even without any wind. And then he turned, and he saw it for the first time. At the far edge of the village, beyond the last house, beyond a
crumbling stone wall that looked like it had been built as a boundary, a border, a warning, stood the tree. Even from this distance, in the darkness with only a half moon above, it stopped him completely. It was massive. Genuinely incomprehensibly massive. The kind of massive that made you feel small in a way that had nothing to do with size. Its trunk was so wide, so ancient, so deeply rooted that it looked less like a tree and more like a piece of the mountain itself. Like the earth had pushed it up from somewhere deep below. Its bark was almost black. Not dark brown, black. Like it had been burned from the inside and never recovered. Its branches stretched outward in every direction. Long, twisting, reaching like arms. Like hands. Like fingers extended towards something they desperately wanted to grab. Even in the stillness, even without any wind.
"Someone has to remember," he said simply, when Zayan asked him why. They sat inside Dadaji's home. One room, low ceiling, stone walls so thick the outside world felt very far away. A single oil lamp burned on the floor between them, throwing long orange shadows across everything. A worn prayer rug in the corner, a stack of old books with cracked leather spines, a glass of chai that had gone cold. Zayan's recorder sat between them, red light blinking. Outside, the wind had finally arrived. But it was a strange wind. It didn't move through the village in different directions the way wind should. It seemed to come from everywhere and go in only one direction. Always toward the tree. Always feeding it. Like the whole mountain was exhaling and the tree was the only mouth. "Tell me everything," Zayan said, "from the beginning." Dadaji looked at the flame for a very long time. Then he closed his eyes. Then he spoke. 300 years ago, perhaps more, the old texts are not precise, this land was a crossing point. Not a village, not a settlement, a crossing point. A place where the border between our world and their world was thin, very thin. Like old cloth held up to the light. You could almost see through it. The Jinn had lived here since before humans came to these mountains. And the Pari, the fairy beings, though that word is too small and too soft for what they truly are, they had their own realm here also. Underground, woven into the roots of things, invisible to our eyes, but real.
Shajare Malun, the cursed tree. Though in those days it was not cursed, it was simply theirs. A boundary marker between two worlds. A reminder to any human, do not come past this point. This is not your land. And for many generations, humans obeyed. They built their homes at a distance. They did not cut its branches. They did not carve its bark. They did not sit beneath its shade. There was peace. A cold peace. An uneasy peace. But peace. Dadaji opened his eyes, looked at the flame. Then, one winter, a very bad winter, snow for 3 months, animals dying, children hungry, a man named Kareem went to the tree. Not to make trouble, not out of disrespect. He was cold. He was desperate. He looked at those massive branches and he thought, just one branch for firewood. They will never notice one branch. He raised his axe. He cut. The branch fell. And that night, Kareem disappeared. Dadaji's voice dropped lower. Not dead. We would have found a body. Not missing in the way a man gets lost in mountains.
And the tree, Dadaji continued, was different after that night. The bark had darkened. The roots had spread further in a single night than they had in a decade. And there was something new, a feeling when you stood near it, a feeling of being looked at, of being assessed, of being measured against some standard you didn't know and hadn't agreed to. The elders understood then. The tree was no longer just a gate. It had been given a taste, and it had become hungry. The rules became clear over the following years, not because anyone wrote them, but because the village learned them through loss, through grief, through watching their people disappear one by one. Anyone who sits beneath the tree's shade belongs to them. The jinn come for the weak-willed, the ones whose fear makes them easy to break. The pari come for the sinful, the ones carrying guilt and darkness in their hearts. They are precise about this.
But some survive, Zayan said quietly. His voice was different now, softer. The skepticism still there, but thinner. You said some people walk away. Yes, Dadaji said. The pure ones. The ones whose hearts are genuinely clean. Not perfect, not without sin, but without darkness, without malice, without the rot that the jinn and pari feed on. The tree cannot hold them. They sit beneath it, and they feel, they say, a great heaviness, a pressure, like something enormous pressing against them, testing them, searching them. And then it stops, and they walk away. He looked directly at Zayan for the first time since beginning the story. But here is what you